All right, we're gonna wait just a few seconds to see if anybody trails in at the tail end here, just to see. Looks like I'm managing at least to get some 1080p at a consistent 6 megabits a second. So some hotels that you go to, their internet is just trash. So didn't really want to go forward with this stream without really knowing whether or not it was actually going to work. So everything looks good here. What I have actually is this little mini piece here. Yep. But I did not think to bring a mouse and keyboard with me. I have a mouse, but what I need is a keyboard. So I have one in the mapping car, which is my get up here. So I'm actually in Kendallville, Indiana. I'm here in Noble County, Indiana, doing 3D scans of their roads. Hence the reason for doing this live stream. Hotel. So anyhow, I'm expected to have more issues. So we're not having any issues. Now I don't know what else to do. So I don't have a keyboard. So what I wanted to do is get Linux installed on here. We're gonna go with some Debian Linux. We're gonna put a web server on here and everything, so we can show you exactly. I was gonna do a little bit of a kind of real quick spot. I don't really have a lot of prep done, but just installing Debian Linux and then installing an Apache web server. We're not going to do anything complicated like running a load balancer and installing Nginx or anything like that. So just setting up Apache, creating a virtual host file, getting a good development environment set up for website hosting, especially if you want to do it yourself. And these little things are an excellent way to do that. This costs like $150. It has a Ryzen 3 dual core 4 thread, but it has the Vega graphics too. So I mean, it's not the most performance in the world everywhere, but for $150 you get a whole computer. It even has a micro SD card slot, if you can believe it. So like you could use it. It's too bad that this isn't like 2.5 gig Ethernet or 10 gig Ethernet, because if it was, You could turn this into like a little camera ingest station. You put your camera SD card in there. Now it does have, I think, 10 gigabit USB Type C on the front, so you might be able to get a Type C to 10 gigabit Ethernet adapter, and still, because it only has the 4 threads, but you know, for camera footage, if that's all it was doing was just moving footage onto the network, and it wasn't mission critical or you didn't need it to happen right away. I mean, of course, you can always find more performance, but I've not seen that yet on one of these mini PCs. The micro SD card slot. So I thought that was interesting to say the least. That was something I didn't realize when I pulled it out of the box. So what we can do is confirm that it does indeed work, which half the battle here, right? So we're switch over inputs here. Okay, we'll go ahead and just fire this up here. So see, I mean, we know it works. It comes up, it goes into Windows installation. So that's one thing we do want to make sure that we do is we grab our Windows 11 product key off of here. Yes, Windows didn't load correctly because I didn't let it go through with the setup. I don't have. I guess I could do the Windows setup with just the mouse, but I'm not going to be able to install Debian Linux or do any of that without a keyboard. So kind of stuck at this point. Uh, so, anyways, how's everybody else's Tuesday? Not a whole lot other than disappointments have happened in the tech world in the last few months since I did my last tech news for Tech Dudes. So the gist of it is graphics cards are still ridiculous. And they're like weird now. Like this next generation launch from Nvidia. So you're paying a lot more for not much of an improvement. I mean, that's like the summarization of the situation, right? I mean, no real increase in CUDA core counts. I mean, the die shrink, so maybe some IPC uplift. I don't know. And then like they increase the AI hardware, so there is more silicon on the card, but it's not like everything's just weird. It's like hard to. I'm on the road so much. I wish I could do some like really in-depth editorials on some of that stuff, but unfortunately, not able to do that at this point. So, yeah. But despite the technical trouble of not having a keyboard, I should be able to stop at the Walmart here, get a keyboard for fairly cheap. Uh, Once the web server and everything's installed on it, you pretty much plug this thing right into your router and let it sit there because it doesn't really have a monitor, mouse, or keyboard plugged into it. But once you have it running headless, then all you got to do really is search for it in the web browser. The rest of it's all set up to repair. Really, really excited to get into that. I know that before, but I'm to realize the only way I could show you guys that on physical hardware had in production, and you're going to show something that you have in production for business. Got to be really careful about not showing certain types of information. So it's easier for me to just wait until I had a system that was free, where I could go through the basic setup of at least getting yourself set up with a web server. Because I think there's a lot of people out there run a website without having to pay somebody. This opens, especially if you're never going to have more than a couple hundred. Really quite bonkers what people go in. So, you used to pay for web hosting because you couldn't get a fast enough and reliable enough connection at your house. So you had to, you know, rent space at a server farm or a data center or pay a hosting provider. You used to have to do. Now with being able to get fiber to your house, you can get a static IP to your house, and even if you don't have static, you can still run really robust DDNS and use subdomains. You know what I mean? It really, even then, like, if you want things to physically be at your address without the web addresses, you have the classic www. They say that it doesn't really mean anything. Well, for my website, it does. Since I have an IP address that's subject to change, it's actually defined in as at www. And the reason for that, weird stuff when you post your code stuff at your stuff. Sorry, I'm really tired. I'm stoked that this worked. I have to keep in mind that Best Western is streams on the road. And the other thing I could do is maybe log into my Neverwinter character, and it's a game that I'm sure puts a lot of people off. Even me, there's parts of it that I don't like, especially some pay to progress faster aspects of the game. But sometimes like having a bunch of RNG. Weird to say that, but it's a game that has good combat, and it's like not as involved as something as like for Warcraft, and I can pay money to get out of. It's kind of crazy stuff that exists in that game. By agreeing the scrolls and register yourself to full health, because like first person shooters, or even third person shooters like Fortnite, when you get knocked down to like low health, and then you're like crawling on the ground, and your teammate can come. I think Gears of War was like one of the first games that really implemented that really well. I guess it was called like a down and out system. So generally MMOs don't have that sort of thing. Your health bar is full, and when it's at 0, you're dead. Well, in Neverwinter, your health bar is full, but when you go down to 0, you're in a like down and out state. In that state, you can use the scrolls, res yourself basically out of the state and back and forth, or somebody can run up to you, press the F button, res you. That's an interesting aspect that I wish other games would something similar to that, because you always happen to be like all the way physically dead and go through like, just look at all the crap that's happened with druids and power reses. A lot of that could have just been avoided if you had a down and out system. And then you could add more interesting things to do in the encounter. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta make sure that you have somebody that can be free to run around. Fits there in the down and out state. Anyways, this worked. I'm happy about it. I will grab a keyboard tomorrow and we will do some Ubuntu Linux from Indiana. There's a town here in Indiana called Albion. And I was gonna play Albion Online in Albion, Indiana, but no good hotel, Albion. There's like a bed and breakfast. That was it. It is so barren. It's here for real. There's civilization many miles. This has been like one of the first places I've ever recorded in the mapping car where I wasn't like constantly rated with people shouting from their car or people behind me or people riding my ass. I went a pretty good solid chunk of the day without seeing very many. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You're, scanning roads. You're by yourself. You don't have anybody to talk to. Tend to hold people hostage. They call you on the phone. You're like, let me have this 20-minute long conversation with you for no reason because you're so bored. Anyhow, I'm starting to really feel it. It's about 10:30. I'm ready to pass out. A quick reminder before I get off of here, I will be back on tomorrow. We will do setup. That should be fun. I'm also now recalling I don't Ethernet cable either. So testing web server we'll be able to do from the local. Okay. I'm trying to figure these things all out to make sure I don't have any snaps. So we can get the video from it, and we can pull stuff up on the browser on the actual. Sounds like good stuff. We might even get into doing a WordPress installation because if you don't want to learn how to actually like build websites and stuff, WordPress, 90% of the work's already done for you. All you got to do, you have the creative control. You have to pick a theme, decide whether you want it to be more of like a traditional website or if you actually just need a page for your blog or your forum. But WordPress is a great tool because it's already built and it's so customized. It is so like it doesn't matter if you're selling stuff or doing online media. You can use WordPress for a lot of stuff. I get into WordPress tomorrow. Let's hope so. Other than that, I'm done talking to the camera in the sky. The tripod's large. I don't have anything. That's why I have this weird angle of my bed and whatnot here. But yep, I'm gonna get out of this vest. I ate Taco Bell right before I got on stream. I'm ready to get over there and pass out so I can start about a 3-hour drive. I'm at vacation plus the 6 hours recording on top of that. It's a whole thing. So stay tuned for that here in the next couple of weeks. I have a video coming out about my job driving as a mapping driver. But before that, I put a computer inside of a desk. And one thing that I realized, since I don't, like, I have tools and I know how to stuff, but I don't do it all the time. So I make like rookie mistakes. Like I installed the power button and I didn't like really, I just kind of like eyeball measured it. So I had to use wood glue to get the button in. And just like little stuff like that. So it's definitely very much version. But the great thing about it is it does work and way better than I expected it. Please, so stay tuned for that, for the computer and the desk, because that was my ultimate compromise. Deciding it, maybe I didn't really need the computer to be in my car. I could put the ITX system somewhere else. Found a spot for it in my office, my desk. That's yep. Stay tuned for that video. Because I sound a little close just because I'm 5:30. I'm just ready for bed. I hope you all have a wonderful night. You guys have been awesome. Stay tuned for new stuff coming. I'm trying to get on it a little more. A good night. I'm going to bed.